I have this tendency to make maybe even a surreal documentary.
We've essentially never commissioned an art film. But I'd be surprised if in Canada it got a regular network broadcast. Maybe there's a slot on CBC or NFB, on TVO, but I'd be surprised, frankly, if even a Wim Wenders arts film got a network broadcast in Canada.
I have no hope whatsoever of anybody making art in a broadcast format. I don't believe anybody could be so foolish as to entertain the idea.
We rarely commission art documentaries.
Right? You make junk in a broadcast format. That's your job. Right?
What's getting what we're pitching, and so what we know are right now are what would mostly be called either reality or lifestyle television. They are most often either host or personality driven. They can veer into verite, but often are very, very formatted in terms of what is going to happen in each act and how resolution comes about. A show like Party Mamas, which we've done 65 episodes of for Slice, so it's a very successful series. These are mothers throwing parties for their offspring. The mothers are great. They have great personalities, but they're not Brad Pitt or Angelina Jolie. They're fairly well-to-do housewives in Canada and the U.S. Turning that into a half hour of pretty darned entertaining television, I think, requires an amazing amount of talent.
The thing that you and your colleagues are probably most interested in is what they call vaguely point of view documentaries.
We're looking for social issue documentaries, point of view social issue documentaries, contemporary, unfolding stories, things that give us a snapshot of society within its time.
Where there's an authorial point of view, they're kind of verite documentaries done over time about interesting and quirky topics. Broadcast is not so interested in those at this stage.
TVO is one of the few broadcasters that actually still commissions one-off docs. Most broadcasters are looking for series right now, sort of formatted series where the independent community still gets licenses to contribute to those series. So they're still producing documentaries for these series. But there's a format, there's a theme, there's a look, there's a feel, and frankly, they do really well in the ratings. Formatted series do extremely well in ratings.
What I see in TV or any other places that they're showing documentary films, they're just showing some narrative documentaries, which are, again, really traditional for me and, let's say, a little bit even boring.
The nature of television is delivering targeted audiences to broadcasters who are buying airtime. That television is a business. Television isn't an art form. Television, in terms of getting it financed and produced, is all about relationships.
And we have a pretty good relationship with most of Canada's major broadcasters.
Well, a good idea is always exciting to find, but a good idea on its own isn't enough. You need someone who knows how to get money, and a track record is hugely important.
It is not really easy to fight with this industry because this is a kind of factory. They are so close. So breaking these doors and going inside that industry is so difficult.
Stories really are a dime a dozen. They really are. What separates the filmmaker from people who just like to tell stories and who just like to shoot stuff and who just like to make things look pretty is if you can focus the story and convince people like me why it matters to tell that story.
Come up with a fantastic concept, and certainly if you're coming to see a company like E1, a concept that is hopefully a serial idea that has great personalities, and pitch us on it, and if we like it, we'll be your co-producer and we'll make it with you.
Well, no, most of the big companies won't enter into a co-production deal with you. They'll, make a deal where, if your idea goes, you'll get a job and maybe a share of the net profits. And the old joke in film and television is, a share of net profits plus $2.75 gets you on the subway.
I probably see more than 500 proposals a year, 500 to 600 proposals. My colleague may see more. My colleague Linda Fong may see more. I probably see more than 500 to 600 proposals a year, and on a good year, I'm able to commission maybe 8 to 10 documentaries.
Increasingly what that means, and you know, and I was 20 days into shooting Webos War before I had any money at all from anybody. So increasingly what's happening is if you want to do a documentary, great, go do it, right? Don't sit around waiting for somebody to give you money. Don't spend a lot of time filling out forms. Don't go into broadcasters pitching them pieces of paper because they're not interested.
Don't count on it as part of the next 2.5, 3 years of your life. And count on getting a lot of arts grants, count on doing a lot of paperwork to scrounge money from a lot of different places to make it possible to make your, the film that you really, really want to make. In many ways it's very liberating because you won't have a big broadcaster or a big production company like ours breathing down your neck about schedules and budgets.
It's never been easier to make documentaries, and it's never been easier to show them, right?
Maybe I end up to just making my personal documentary, and then, I don't know, maybe I just show it in some galleries or in some museums, or I really don't know what I will do with my documentaries.
The home for documentaries now is increasingly film festivals, iTunes, Netflix, DVD, educational and non-theatrical markets, with a TV pickup at some point along the way.
We get a lot of students that come out of film school and they inquire about how they can get into documentaries. It's a tough business. Anyone that you talk to in documentaries will tell you it's a very, very tough business. It's a very tough way to make a living if you're the only income bringing in the dollars. Nevertheless, there's never any shortage of people who want to get into documentaries. And I think especially now, the technology is so accessible. It's really democratized who can become a filmmaker. So you can go to a Best Buy and get fantastic equipment that gets you pretty darn close to broadcast quality. You just realize that you've expanded the pool of people who now become our storytellers. So there's no shortage of people who want to do documentaries. And also, there's probably never been a time where documentaries have been more popular in the general public.
You know, we have to be realistic about what we're making. We're not making shows that are going to get Hockey Night in Canada numbers or US drama numbers. What we're doing is something that's for a minority taste.
I don't see any bright future for students who are coming from schools like, any kind of schools, not just our schools.